Yeah, buddy. Welcome to the Las Vegas Strip. That is Tyler Fulghum. I am Joe Fortenbaugh. This, you can read. It's bad. It's bad. Welcome to the show. Big one today. Final one of the week. Brett Okamoto set to join us in just a little bit to preview UFC 261, which is a week from this Saturday. We've got our NBA Pick'em Spectacular. 3 bets for you coming from each of us. And the debut of something new. And it's extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, I got to get this out from behind.
Sucker bet. And if we get mad at each other, I guess we could just get into a little fight here.
Start getting in a fight.
Lollipop fight would be weird, but so be it. Now, good news. Courtesy of the world of Caesars William Hill, NFL win totals are on the horizon, betting the over or under on how many games a specific team will win. So go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting, as we'll be rolling out some content with our picks, discussing some of the teams we like and we don't. Check us out today on Daily Wager as well, 6 p.m. Eastern. He's fantastic on that show, ESPN 2. You ready to go to work?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here's a little segment called Par 3. A bit of a look ahead, so bring out the scope as we get set to talk the PGA Championship. Now, May 20th. It's a little over a month away at Kiowa Island in South Carolina. If you remember correctly, the PGA Championship was here in 2012. Rory McIlroy won the event going away. He shot 13 under. He dusted the field by 8 strokes. We've got a little while before the event, but let's get people ahead of the curve. Yep. Who are 3 guys you're looking at to win this thing?
I'm going to go in descending order.
Descending.
Of odds, starting with 33-1, Webb Simpson, the Weber Kettle. He's just
the what?
The Weber Kettle. The Weber Kettle.
Weber Kettle?
Yeah,
what is that?
The Weber Kettle Grill. You know Weber Kettle Grill?
Oh.
That you barbecue on?
Yes, I do
you
now.
Grill a steak?
Yeah,
So I call him the Weber Kettle.
The Weber Kettle.
33-1.
We're off and running.
He's got some metrics that indicate he's just a really good, safe, sound golfer for a course like Kiowa. It's like a mix between a oceanside course and a link-style course. Designed by Pete Dye, it's very difficult. He's 7th on tour in strokes gained off the tee, 5th in driving accuracy. That'll be important here because a lot of wind comes off that ocean and can affect driving accuracy. He's 8th on tour in strokes gained around the green, so he can score well or save par around the green, and he's 13th on tour in putting. Those all add up to a good profile for someone who I think can have success at this course.
Good price, too.
Great price at 33-1 for a guy who's top 15 in the world. Patrick Cantley, 25-1.
Oh, after what happened at the Masters?
What a disaster at Augusta. That was stinky. Great value then to buy back in on Patrick Cantley. That, I believe, is going to be an outlier performance for Cantley in the majors this season. He, too, a good all-around game that translates well to a place like Kiowa. 8th in strokes gained on the tour this season, tee to green. 7th in strokes gained around the green. So he's good from the tee box to around the green. Putting can come and go, but if he's putting well, he'll do well there. And then just overall, strokes gained total on tour this year, he's 6th. So again, indicates he's got the all-around game to succeed, and it's only a matter of time before Cantley is a major champion. I think he'll win multiple in his career. And then finally, 16-1. Jordan Spieth.
Again with this love affair.
Jordan Spieth needs to win the PGA Championship to complete, I should say, the career Grand Slam. It's the only one he's got missing. Is anyone in better shape, in better form right now than Jordan Spieth? You say Hideki Matsuyama, he won. But
yeah, a few
Spieth
people
coming off the Valero, a top 5, top 10 at the Masters. His game also plays well here. He can play in the wind, being from Texas. He showed again that short game shot-making ability. Sure, he got lucky on 15 on Thursday or Friday, but that ball went in. It counts as an eagle.
Luck's part of the equation in life.
The putts he made on the weekend where there was like 6 foot of break and he was making those.
Yeah.
That's what made Jordy special early in his career. Somehow he'd come up with these incredible shots around the green, these incredible putts that went in that no one else could make. I think he's got that mojo back. He's certainly got that confidence back. That's why I like him at 16-1 to potentially complete the career slam.
The key with Spieth is mindset. When his mind is good, he's playing well. His mind was a mess for a little while, and right now his mind's in good shape. All right, number 1 for Joe Fortenbaugh. Not exactly going out on a limb. John Rahm. New rule in life. for me and betting majors, I will bet Jon Rahm in every single major moving forward for two key reasons. One, the floor is exceptionally high.
Yep.
He just finished T5 at Augusta. He finished 13th at Harding Park last summer. He finished 23rd at the U.S. Open at Winged Foot. The guy is solid. And at Augusta, every single round was par or better. That's beautiful when you're trying to win something like this. But I want to be the guy always betting Rahm that when Rahm eventually breaks through and wins one, I'm going to tell you
smart.
I bet Rahm.
I think that's smart.
I bet Rahm, everyone. I was on him. Now, we'll keep a secret between all of us watching. I will have been on him every time leading forward. So Rahm's my horse going into it. Number 2, I agree with you 100% on Webb Simpson at 33-1.
Okay.
One thing you left out, he's from the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Very familiar with this type of play, very familiar with this course. He is in fantastic form. 12th at the Masters, 17th or better in 4 of 6 stroke play events this calendar year. I'm going to like him to finish top 20, and I'm going to like him in some head-to-heads as well.
Sure.
Finally, Justin Rose, 45-1.
Okay.
Back in 2012, when Rory won this event, guess who finished tied for 3rd? I'll give you a
Justin
clue.
Rose?
Yeah, it's who I'm talking about right now. Justin Rose has played here in a major before, has played well. Long time ago, that's just a small part of the equation. He looked really good at the Masters. He's been having a solid year. Do not sleep on Justin Rose when it comes to majors. Very smart golfer. And at 45-1, well, we'll take a shot. We'll take a shot. How do you feel? Are you on or against any of those?
No, I like them all. I love the value, especially with Weber Kettle, as I pointed out. Rahm is going to win multiple majors as well. It's only a matter of time, so I think that's smart just betting him as long as the odds are north of 10-1, so to speak.
If you had like golfer IPOs right now that you could buy for the next 10 years, like Rahm's the guy I want to buy for the next 10 years. Let's talk bets, because, well, that's the name of the show. Bets we can put into action tonight. The NBA Thursday Night Pick'em is upon us. So here we go. Game number 1, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. They're laying 4, total of 230 in Atlanta to take on the Hawks.
Yeah, I'm going to lay the first half spread with the Milwaukee Bucks. Something I kind of learned last night on our Daily Wager special. I had the 76ers -9. It looked great, but then that second unit for Brooklyn came back. So I learned from Perk, maybe when you know a team is going to dominate, just bet that first half so you don't get shenanigans in the second half like we saw.
With a D.
Shenanigans. So it's -2. That's it. And I think Giannis is going to play in this game. He got a full practice in on Tuesday. He got a full warm-up in on Wednesday, yesterday, before sitting against in that game, in the first leg of a back-to-back against the Minnesota Timberwolves without Karl-Anthony Towns. They didn't need Giannis. And a game against Atlanta, Trae Young's questionable as well. A better team than Minnesota. They'll likely need him, and I think he's going to play. So laying just 2 in the first half against Atlanta, I like that for this team where I expect Giannis to be on the floor with Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton.
I'm going to take the Hawks plus the points for the game at 4. This is an extraordinarily suspicious line move. It was sitting around Milwaukee -5.5. It's been creeping down all day. And a lot of injuries, like you said. You got the Trae Young situation, the Gallinari situation, the Giannis situation. If it's moving to Atlanta, I think the word's out on something. So I'm going to what they call chase the steam. I'm going to jump on the steam here. This is Milwaukee's 5th game in a 5th different city in 8 days. They just played yesterday in Minnesota, so you got to wonder where the legs are. For Atlanta, this is just their 2nd game in 4 days, and they didn't play yesterday, so they're very well rested, and they've been playing well as of late. Won and covered 7 of their last 8. Milwaukee just 4-10 against the spread over their last 14 road games. Something to keep in mind, but that should be a good one. Game number 2, let's head west. It's the Celtics laying 6, total of 212.5. They're in LA taking on the Lakers.
You know, I like some props that have good value or juicy value, so to speak. Don't like to lay more than I can win. I like to lay 1 unit and win more than 1 unit if it cashes. So, Dennis Schroeder, the Lakers point guard, over 1.5 made 3-point field goals at +150. Really good return on that if he gets 2 triples in this game. He has made 2 or more threes in 5 of his last 8 games, Joe. And Boston is a team that will allow you to shoot the 3-point shot. Plus, Schroeder is a guy who either shoots from perimeter or drives into the lane and tries to get to the bucket with his quick first step and good speed. But the Time Lord, Robert Williams, is sitting around the rim. And we know how I feel about the Time Lord, Robert Williams. One of the best shot blockers in the NBA. So I think Schroeder's going to be more inclined to shoot from the perimeter in this specific matchup where he can get a shot up over someone like Kemba Walker. They're 17th in 3-point attempts allowed and 3-point field goal percentage allowed. That's the Boston defense. And they're 18th in three-point field goal makes allowed by their opponent at almost 13 a game.
Okay.
So if Schroeder can just knock down 2 of potentially 10 to 12 three-point makes, I like him to give you a plus 150 return.
All right, I hope you get there, and I hope it doesn't get in the way of my bet in this game, which will be the under at 212.5. It's been moving up, so I'm going against the move, but I've got some reasons, as I'm sure you could expect. Number one, Boston has been playing better defense as of late. They were giving up about 110 points per game on the season. Last 10 games, they're giving up just 105. Oh, by the way, last 10 games, the under has cashed 8 times. 8 times in the last 10. Now, let's transition over to the Lakers, who stink on offense. 103 points per game over their last 10. They haven't eclipsed 100 points in 5 of those 10 games. Boston plays at a slower tempo. I believe they ranked 21st in pace.
21st, yep.
Play it slow, play some defense. Lakers will struggle on O. We keep it under 212.5. Game number 3, the Phoenix Suns are laying 12.5 with a total of 234.5. This thing has been rocketing skyward as they get set to host Sacramento Kings.
Again, I'm going to attack a player prop here. DeAndre Ayton over 16.5 points, minus 105. So I only got to lay a nickel to win back 100 here. So I like that price. Sacramento is dead last in the NBA in the following metrics: defensive rating, opponent point per game, and opponent field goal percentage.
Not good, Sacramento.
And Rashawn Holmes is active and bouncy, but he's not necessarily big and stout. So Ayton should have, who's a great offensive rebounder, second chance points, and he has a good matchup against someone who's not like Joel Embiid defending the rim there. He's had averaging 19 points per game over his last 6 and eclipsed 17 points, the threshold here, in 5 of those 6 games.
Okay, I got even better news for you.
Okay.
I'm playing the Suns minus 7.5 in the first half. I don't even think Rashawn Holmes is playing tonight.
Oh, God.
He has a hamstring injury, so that's even better for your matchup.
Love it.
He's been battling a hamstring injury, and that's key for this Sacramento offense because Holmes, as you mentioned, defensively is one thing, but offensively, big piece of the offense. This is a team that with him on the floor ranked 6th in offensive rating. Without him, 28th in offensive rating. And you've seen it these last few games. Sacramento has been horrible without Rashawn Holmes on the floor. Meanwhile, Phoenix, I saw my PH and I just blanked. The Suns, number 1 in first half margin of victory this year. When playing at home, they're beating the opposition in the first half by 7 points per game. Sacramento is 23rd in first half margin of victory. It's actually margin of defeat for them, minus 2.8. Suns minus 7.5 in the first half. Now that we've talked a little hoops, let's turn our attention to the Octagon. Mixed martial arts expert extraordinaire Brett Okamoto from ESPN, kind enough to join us here on the show. Brett, we always appreciate the time. We are just over 1 week away from UFC 261, which is going to be in Jacksonville, Florida. There will be fans, and the main event is headlined by Jorge Masvidal and Kamara Usman. Now, these two got together. This is a rematch. The first time they fought, Usman wins by decision. Masvidal took the fight on short notice, just 6 days, and had to drop 20 pounds. So, a full fight camp for Masvidal this time around. How much difference do you see that making?
It makes a world of difference for Jorge. Now, does that mean he's going to win the fight? He's got some skill things that he needs to address if he's going to beat Kamara Usman. But you guys, I mean, just think about losing 20 pounds in a matter of 6 days and then trying to fight a guy who, by the way, Kamara Usman is a terrible, terrible opponent to fight if you're compromised like that. If your cardio is not there, because that guy, he just goes and goes and goes. He wears you down. That's his style. So you need to be in good shape when you're fighting Kamara Usman. Now, I think that Jorge was in the gym. It's not like he just rolled off of his couch. But to not be preparing for a 5-round fight and to have to cut that much amount of weight, this is going to be a very different Jorge Masvidal in the octagon than we saw the last time when these two fought in July.
Yeah, Brett, you see he's kind of a rather large dog at plus 310 to win this fight outright. When I was asked about this matchup last week on The Good Word, I know one of your favorite segments here on Bet, I said he was a live dog. Do you agree with me that Masvidal at plus 310 kind of has a puncher's chance to win this bad boy outright?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think he's a live dog. I think if you're taking this fight, you are going on Jorge. You're not gonna load up big on Kamara. Now, Kamara, he's one of the best fighters in the world. I mean, there's an argument that he actually is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So he's going against a very, very real challenge. But Jorge Masvidal has ways in which to win this fight. He's got knockout power. He's shown that. He's very talented with his hands. And although Kamaru has an edge in wrestling, he does not have the type of edge, I don't think, that just where you're just real comfortable anytime he's on the feet, that he can just go in and take him down at will. Jorge is going to at least make him work for those takedowns, and 25 minutes is a long time to give a veteran like Jorge Masvidal a chance to hurt you. And Kamara was just hurt in his last fight against Gilbert Burns. So yes, I do think that Jorge is a live dog.
Leon Edwards told Ariel Helwani last week he doesn't see Masvidal, he doesn't see anything he could do differently to win. Quote, he's the smaller man. He doesn't look strong in the clinch. His wrestling ain't great. His jiu-jitsu ain't great. I can't see what he's done that's going to be amazing to switch up the style. So, where can Jorge take advantage of Usman this time around?
He's got to make him work. You know, last time it was just too easy. And the reason that it was too easy is because Jorge knew he had to pick his spots. You know, we were just talking about the 6 days notice and the fact that he cut all that weight. He knew that going in there, he had to sort of look for home runs and then kind of bide his time and recover during other instances. And that led to kind of a boring fight in which Kamara was able to just kind of hold him against the fence. He didn't force Kamaru out of his element, out of his comfort zone. And I think he can do that, or he can have moments in the fight where he can do that with a full gas tank. He can force Kamaru to expend a lot of energy, to get a little tired, and when guys get tired, they make mistakes. So Kamaru's going to go in there and do what he does. He's done it now. He's 13-0 in the UFC, so he's obviously very good at what he does. But if you make him work at it, and then again, Jorge Masvidal with that veteranship, that fight IQ, he's got a chance, but he's got to capitalize on the moments because he's not going to win this fight, you know, from beginning to end. He's got to have those moments, and he's got to capitalize on them and finish the fight.
All right, Brett, another fight we'll see on that card on the women's side. Zhang Weili going to be taking on Rose Namajunas, and Weili is a slight favorite at -180 in her strawweight title defense. Many call her a victory over Joanna Jędrzejczyk, one of the greatest UFC women's title fights they have ever seen. So do you think she will have, Zhang Weili, a successful title defense against Rose Namajunas?
Yeah, I am leaning in the direction of Zhang Weili. I think that this betting line it's about where I would have placed it. Rose Namajunas, when she is on, she is one of the most beautiful fighters to watch, and I mean that from her style, you know, her skill set. She's just in and out. She's very, very fluid. It's remarkable to watch her when she's on. But if she does have a problem with something, I think it's the more physical women at 115 pounds. When you're able to sort of take away that beauty by getting in the face of Rose Namajunas and limiting her movement around the cage. And I think Zhang Weili does that very well. She's very, very strong. She's in shape. She's a good wrestler. She's a physical wrestler. She's good in the clinch. She has some power in her hands. So I think the champion is the rightful favorite here. But Rose Namajunas, man, we've seen in her career, and she's not even 30 years old yet, we've seen in her career she's had these amazing nights where she just looks like she's unbeatable. She has one of those. She's fully capable of knocking out the champion.
ESPN MMA analyst Brett Okamoto, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Brett, we always appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much. A few things there. Number one, Okamoto rocking a very strong tan. Every guest we have had on this week, from Jeff Saturday to Okamoto, great tans. So that's very big on the show. Number two, great job with the pronunciation.
Thank you.
He was working on them all week.
Working on them.
Fantastic job.
Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Zhang Weili,
all right.
Rose Namajunas.
It's time for a new segment here.
Joe Fortenbaugh.
Thank you. Rhymes with Harbaugh. This is going to be called Sucker Bet. Imagine if the Statue of Liberty had this rather than a flame. That could cause a lot of problems, or it could cause a lot of fun. Debate amongst yourselves. Here we go.
Amongst yourselves.
The way this works is very simple. You, the beautiful people, deserve to be as informed as humanly possible when you tune into this show, I should say. So what we're going to do is try to find a bet that could be extremely popular for some people, and we're going to try to steer them away from it because it could be a sucker bet, also known as a trap bet. So you have honors here. You're on the tee box.
Well, I'm kind of talking to you here directly, my friend, because I know a bet that you, as a former Bay Area sports personality, are really into is the fact that Mac Jones will be the third overall pick by the San Francisco 49ers. You got to lay 200 to win 100 at this point. So he's -200 favorite to be the third overall selection to Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. The price and the media, all the reports are suggesting that he's going to be the third overall selection. Me personally, I think it's a sucker bet based on what I have seen in Mac Jones' collegiate career versus the other quarterbacks that are most likely to be there, Justin Fields and Trey Lance. Can't figure out how men as capable, as intelligent, and as know as much about quarterbacking a football team as Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch would identify Mac Jones as the asset they want to give up all that draft capital for to move up to 3 and select. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. There's a very clear delineation between the upside talent skills that are brought immediately to the NFL between Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and then Mac Jones. So it may happen, but to me this seems like a sucker bet, especially since he's the favorite. I just wonder if there's some kind of smoke screen that's going on. We've even heard our very own Adam Schefter kind of hedge a little bit on Mac Jones being the overwhelming favorite. So maybe it picks up some steam as we get closer to draft day. We know Justin Fields had a second pro day, and Kyle Shanahan was right there. There's pictures of him and Justin Fields laughing together, being best buds. So I just wonder if it is a sucker bet with the build-up through April that we've heard Mac Jones be the number 3 overall pick, because most people, me included, think he's not even close to the third best quarterback prospect. That should be Fields, Wilson, or Trey Lance.
The majority of that analysis was ridiculous, to say the least. First of all, you've been on this position for a while.
Yes, I have.
So I will at least give you credit for that. You don't like Mac Jones going third. You don't have, what are your reasons? 77% completion percentage, won a national title, Heisman Trophy finalist. What's the issue?
The issue is there is more tools in the toolbox immediately to work with Trey Lance or Justin Fields.
Trey Lance didn't even play football this past year. He does not have a toolbox.
Understood. Mac Jones only played football this year. So, I mean, and he played at Alabama where he had Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, dominant offensive line, dominant defense. And what Alabama quarterbacks in the Nick Saban era have we seen translate to the NFL and become good to great? None to this point. Not saying Jones can't, but there is concern there. So, just saying, I think it's a sucker bet.
You and I have been opposed to this for a month now. We're going to have a wager on this. We got to do dinner or something, whatever it is. Maybe a bottle of champagne down at Circus Swim. I know you're a big fan of those. So we can go.
They've had enough bottles of champagne from my credit card at Circus Stadium.
My sucker bet will be something that you can put into action tonight. Do not, under any circumstances, find yourself betting the Golden State Warriors -6.5 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. It looks so obvious, right? That's why we call it a sucker bet. So everyone wants to back Golden State. They've won and covered in 3 straight, and Steph Curry has scored 30 or more points in 8 straight games. Fantastic, all true. Cleveland is a team everyone wants to bet against. They've dropped 7 of 10. They're currently 13th in the Eastern Conference. So if all these things are true, why did this point spread move from 8.5 down to 6.5? Might have something to do with the fact that Golden State is playing its 5th game in 7 nights. They just played last night in Oklahoma City. Now they're coming up to Cleveland for a game that will wear on a team. By the way, Cleveland, just their 2nd game in 4 days, and 4-1 against the spread over their last 5 games overall. Be very careful with the Golden State Warriors tonight. Now, speaking of Cleveland, it's time for the Good Word, segment we do every single Thursday, in which we lay out a statement, a fact, a series of words, if you will. First word that pops into your mind, you write it down on your little tablet, the people get to see it, and we move on. You are just having a trouble. Look at that. If that falls, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
That's
not from me. Not from me. So here we go. The good word. Number 1. Speaking of Cleveland, like we said, pass rusher Jadeveon Clowney just signed a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Cleveland Browns on Wednesday.
Okay, for me, the word
Very excited to hear what you're thinking.
Is
scallops?
Scary. Scallops sound good.
Yeah, they do.
I love that for lunch. But scary is the word I use here. Why? Because there is all kinds of scary talent now on this Cleveland team. Jadeveon Clowney bookending Myles Garrett. Odell Beckham Jr. will be back with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They added John Johnson in the free agency period to be a do-everything safety. There is scary talent on this team, which is probably also scary for Cleveland Browns fans, that they will have expectations to live up to for the first time in 2 or 3 decades. Because I think the Browns have made a habit of letting their fans down throughout pretty much the history of their entire franchise. So scary that they're this good, but also kind of scary that they're this good.
All right. Scary. I have an S word for you as well. No, it is not an illicit one, but it is something that plays right into Clowney. That would be sacks. Sacks. If you're a pass rusher and you want to get paid, which is something Clowney's been trying to do for years, you got to record sacks, of which he does not. This is his 4th team in 4 years. fourth team in 4 years. That's not good for a transcendent talent, all right? 0 sacks with Tennessee last year, only 3 sacks with Seattle in 2019. Never in his career has he recorded double-digit sacks. This is why Jadeveon Clowney is with a new team on a 1-year cheap deal every single year. Now, congratulations to him on the $10 million, but he has been in search of this 5-year, $100 million deal, the Khalil Mack type deal. You're not going to get it. You got to produce. Some people will say, well, pressures matter. They do. Pressures matter. Sacks get you paid. And Clowney's not getting paid because Clowney is not putting up the sacks. Good word. Number 2. Whew, this is an interesting one. The University of Colorado and Colorado State University announced jointly on Tuesday that their in-state football rivalry has been extended intermittently through the 2038 season.
Cruton, as in short for recruiting, as in recruiting, which this, I guess, in the state of Colorado to keep homegrown talent in the wonderful state of Colorado can be used as some kind of recruiting tool for the coaches. For men that are being born literally right this second. 1-year-olds, you're going to go recruit 1-year-olds and say, hey, your family can see you, whether you go to Colorado State or Colorado State, in-state, and play an in-state rival. So Cruton is what this obviously is for.
I like that. Inventing words here on the show, fantastic. I am not going with anything as creative. I am jammed up. Intermittently.
Intermittent.
I apologize for so much of what's going on in there. I apologize for so much what's going on in there. Intermittently is the word. It's the word they use themselves. What kind of in-state rivalry plays on and off every few years? Florida and Florida State play every single year. Oregon State, Washington State. You see where I'm going here, okay? They're going to intermittently. They announced to the world that they've signed up for like 8 more games over the course of 18 years. 2023 to 2038 is not 8 years. I don't know what this is. I don't know why this is necessary. And one thing we learned in the pandemic, you can schedule games immediately. Notre Dame joined a whole new conference in the pandemic in like less than a week. Coastal Carolina and BYU scheduled a game in like 36 hours. I don't need Colorado and Colorado State scheduling a game for 2038. It's unnecessary. If you want to play, you could play in 2 days.
Fair.
What are they doing?
And balanced.
I know they're doing a lot of stuff there. They're having a lot of fun with the legalization.
Yeah, I like Colorado.
But like, you don't have to be so forward thinking. Number 3, 8-time MLB All-Star and 3-time American League MVP Mike Trout, get this, has never won a playoff game.
That is irrelevant.
You're going to jam yourself up here. But at least you spelled it right. That looks good.
That's irrelevant information because it is certainly not Mike Trout's fault that the Angels have been so inept that they can't put a winner around him. Now, maybe this is the year with Shohei Ohtani, Anthony Rendon, Justin Upton, some better pitching. But it is irrelevant also to his individual legacy as a ball player if you want to compare him to the all-time greats, that he hasn't had the team success of others. I hate in team sports that so often we tie for an individual legacy, team success, to where they rank in the all-time rankings. Mike Trout doesn't have to win a single playoff game to be one of the best 4, 5, 6 baseball players to ever exist in this universe. It is irrelevant information.
I agree. Winning means nothing when it comes to sports. You should never get caught up in the wins and the losses. My word for Mike Trout is flounder. Flounder. As in, that's what he does in the playoffs. He flounders. I'm just kidding. I really wanted to make that joke. I had to bring another fish into the equation. The reality here is, I agree with you. This shows just how much one player means to a baseball team. It doesn't matter all that much. Barry Bonds was unstoppable. Like, he could not. You can only get to the plate 3 or 4 times a game. That's all you can do in terms of causing damage. If you're a pitcher, you can control half the game once every 5 days, and that's it. Like, that's why I'm wondering why guys get 10-year, $350 million contracts. Wouldn't you rather have a handful of guys at $10 million a year than one guy at 30? If he gets hurt, he can only play so much.
They say football's the ultimate team sport. I disagree. It is baseball because in football, an individual quarterback can drive so much of the winning.
Very true. Up against it here. Before I let you go, final segment of the week. One last bet on anything on the way out the door. What do you got?
Speaking of all-time greats, I'm calling my shot. plus 333 Juan Soto to go deep against the Diamondbacks and gas can starter Merrill Kelly of Arizona. 333, go deep Juan Soto.
UFC Vegas 24th, the UFC Apex here in Las Vegas Saturday night. Robert Whittaker to win by decision over Kelvin Gastelum in the main event. It's plus 130. The over-under is 4.5 rounds juiced to the over. So the expectation is it goes deep. And Whittaker himself is minus 255. The expectation is that he wins. So let's lower our financial risk and let's increase our financial probability.
Ooh, I like that.
And let's just take Whittaker to win the fight by decision, plus 130. Both fighters well-versed in going deep in the fights. And the guys that give Whittaker issues are the guys that are taller than him with a longer reach. Gastelum is not one of those guys. 3 inches shorter, 2 inches less of a reach. That's it for the week. He's Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. Shout out to our friend Brandy, who's directing the show for the first time today.
Hey,
he did a fantastic job and didn't burn the place down. We'll see you on Monday.